Okay, let's open up the June 5th sewer commissioners meeting. Elaine, I,
Bill Watson, I.
Oh, I,
and it doesn't look like anybody from the public is joining us for this. So we'll just get right into it. A couple of things. When we were going through the old rules and regulations, we couldn't, the ones, we had two last October.
Yep.
We couldn't find the signed document. It was updated, but we just couldn't find the signed one. So that's what this is right here, to sign those.
You want to sign this one?
Yeah, we can,
Then
yeah,
that'll be the original.
that's for the October 2nd one. Should be one for the October 29th date.
you keep the, whatever one you give us, and
Now, which one do you have, Brian?
it says,
That's October.
October 2nd.
Okay, now what's the one right there?
That's the same thing.
October 29th. Okay, so this is good. That's
Okay,
an original and this will be the other original.
Okay.
And this will make us whole. This is just add that to the back of the PDF.
Right, there you go, we'll lose that.
Yeah.
Maybe that, I think I'm in parochial school again. Palmer method.
Exactly, which is going away. So this is what we'll be working off of tonight.
Okay, all right.
So these are the most updated ones. And we'll be talking about the betterments and the fees for the leaching fields. Other than that, Dave and Jeannie have been working on the FY25 budget and they pretty much done with it. So I thought it would be good to get an update from them on where we stand.
Some of this in the package.
Okay. So that's working tonight, this is the same thing right here that I have.
Yeah, we could do, I could
Yeah,
do.
okay, and then this,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you should have a copy of that, Bill. what you-
Yep, no,
Yep.
we had two of the, we got
Oh,
two of
you
the
want to
in our
put
packet. Yeah. If someone wants one.
the summary, of the room as well. So Jeannie printed up some rules and regulations. They're available
Oh,
when we get to the big room.
Yep. All right.
And she had a bunch of these made up. Is this something you want to?
Yeah.
share tonight?
Yeah, if the
I
public,
wasn't-
yeah,
I wasn't sure. so,
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I'll take them.
Okay.
So, yeah, as far as the FY25 budget, we've gone through and updated it with some of our, if you follow on the right-hand column where the black is, it's kind of the summary section. Payroll for the year, plus the operating budget, plus the town allocated costs. The shortfall for the plant, basically $2,206,059. On our operating budget revenue, we've seen $2,404,236. And basically, we have a balance of $198,177. The operating budget, remaining balance, $124,509. Overall balance for FY25 should be around $322,686 left. But we've got some new pumps and some other things coming in, so we should be looking at somewhere around 300,000 actually in surplus
and this is all operation and maintenance.
for this year.
I have one question on plan shortfall, just to clarify what that means.
That the plan shortfall,
Plan shortfall
220?
means,
I mean, the 350.
So, yeah, the plant shortfall, the 350,528, that number is the debt for the plant that was not covered because we didn't have all the users that were anticipated to come on board because of the water moratorium and other variables. The projects that were in the queue that pulled away since groundbreaking started, or shortly before. That's that 350,000 in debt for plant per year.
That's O and M, that's not O and M, that's actually debt
That's
service that we're paying for somehow in this budget. You know, we're dealing with it as an O and M type of payment, right? The way this is laid out, or is this just a total of all things?
This is just an overview of everything. The way we've been covering the plant shortfall, is basically between our rate increase, covering our operating budget, and our septic revenue covering the debt for the plant.
Okay, so the reason I'm bringing this up is as I was going through this over the last week, trying to identify, you broke out very nicely, the EIUs remaining and all that, and that makes it a lot more solid, but when we're looking at the actual betterment cost, I'm trying to make sure we're not focused just on that 865.
Right.
Okay, but that we're collecting things that we've paid, taken out of O and M in the past several years, maybe, whatever it is, and that's one of them. And then so I think we need to add that into that budget, and I think you kind of did that.
Yeah,
you know,
with the
just-
articles, yeah.
This is good. First time I saw this one. All right. good.
Okay, so the OB revenue, can you break that down? What makes up that 2 million for? User fees,
Oh, so the operating budget revenue
yeah,
was a combination of user fees and septic revenue.
okay,
And our operating budget this year, let's see if I've got that broken down.
so that doesn't include betterments or connection fees, it doesn't include any of the revenue we get from debt. It's just purely user fees and septage,
Yes,
okay,
yes. And this year we've had, I think that breakdown is in here. We've had a huge increase in septic revenue this
Right,
year.
yeah.
And some of that was due to, by having a third tank, we can process more septic revenue. So that's really helped in increasing our bottom line revenue and trying to keep the rates down as much as we can by offsetting some of the costs by using that septic revenue.
Nobody commented on my icing on the sludge cake joke.
okay.
That was what I'm getting at.
He was hoping for something.
That's sewage people, come on.
I think everyone's been so jammed up with other issues going
Keep it
on.
light,
It was a very good one, very good one. Okay, so and this doesn't include using any of the funds that we may have allocated at town meeting, or does it?
At this point, we should not have to dip into that.
Okay. Okay,
It's there in case, things are really askew, but everything we're looking at, we should have 300,000 in surplus.
very good. That's an excellent job. So so far, we're not touching any other surplus we have to address this budget.
For FY 25,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, okay,
And whatever was remaining unused, then we can either roll into an article or, as we do with all our articles, as needed, to fund whatever, the commission feels is appropriate. So
Yeah.
next year, some hiccup happens, at least we're not dipping further into our reserves.
This is probably an appropriate time to bring this up. I bumped into people from Town and Country, and they made me aware that they are very interested now. Very, very
That's fine.
interested.
that's great news.
And they will have a meeting in about a month to vote on it and request our assistance. And that opens a whole can of worms for us. Not can of worms, but a whole bunch of new work,
Opportunities.
engineering, planning. A lot of that's been conceptually done.
Right,
You might want to look at that, but just so put that on the radar screen so that that's a big chunk of it.
What were the betterment fees? Do we have to establish that there would be?
It would be really unique, I think. This would be very, I think that's another point is because of that, it'll be a unique kind of a number. I think there's a couple other unique things we don't have to talk about tonight,
right.
but
Right.
I think it will be a unique one. They're kind of in they're in the
Because it's
queue.
grouped together and the
And they're
infrastructure's
queuing, it's
mostly
not the
there.
same thing. They're not hooking up. It's just one connection and it's not fair really to have, we'll have to figure out what it's gonna, the main thing is, what is it gonna cost to go from here to here?
exactly.
And then we can go from, once we figure that out, simple. You know,
Right.
And
And they're relatively close.
yeah,
You
it's
can tie
really,
them in.
it's a pump station, it's a force main, then it goes up to the top of the hill there where the Goodrich lumber is, and it's gravity down to that manhole and then done. It's probably a 3-inch or 4-inch maybe, but nothing bigger. Access and that kind of thing might be an
Yeah,
issue, but
If we could do gravity from the lumber.
yes, when I looked at it,
Down.
yeah, they're gonna
That
break.
way, if that lumber yard and everyone else down that way ever connects, they can just tie it into
Good
the
point,
top of the
exactly.
hill too.
But, we can go deep, come up and go shallow, and then go deep to the
Mhm.
manhole, and then it'd be easy to connect.
Is there a way to go down the Lumberyard Road? And then go back into their complex from the lower end?
If those folks are interested, that would be, part of the,
Uh,
Yeah,
look
yeah.
at- look
Kraft
at the
family,
investigative side of it, yeah.
The Kraft family has a foundation in between the Lumberyard Road and,
No,
their complex.
so that's a
We might be able to find
multi-million-dollar
an
thing,
easement, get an easement to come in the other way.
I mean,
Go right to that pump, right to the
just
process.
with future in mind, or looking at the lumberyard, whatever's over there, is it UPS or something? that's
Yeah,
over there?
UPS.
Yeah.
Yeah, you ought to be there when they come out of work, when they come out at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Oh,
It's
really?
like 500 trucks come out of that at one day in time.
So for tonight's discussion, are we going up on rates to the general population, or are we gonna?
Tonight's discussion is to pay for the leaching field,
Okay,
what we need to do to pay for the leaching
okay,
field.
so that's still the discussion this evening, that the
Yeah.
town participating, as well as the existing customers.
Right,
For this, okay.
and setting a standard betterment fee, connection fee amount going forward,
Mhm.
and we can put language in, unique situations can be
Yeah.
discussed, that way we won't have to have another public hearing. If Town and Country, in fact, does reach out to us. So this is an opportunity to put in writing, like we talked with the betterments, possibly having phase one locked in at a specific rate, those type of things. So we can flush all that out tonight.
Okay.
With the main goal being the leaching field number, so we can get that on whatever next billing's coming up.
Okay.
We can set what we know today for the betterments and connection fees. And then if we have to have another public hearing in a month, then we do.
Mhm.
But we can get as much as we know today done.
And the anticipation of direction where we're going with the leaching field at this point is attaching something as to the water bill.
That's
Okay.
part of the discussion
Okay.
tonight, whether it's better to do it on the water bill or to do it from a betterment, new, what were we calling it? Special assessment fee,
Assessment, yeah.
so. I mean, we've talked it both ways and probably one sticking out more than another, but that's what we can talk at the public
Yeah.
hearing.
Yeah, because.
We're not making a final decision now anyways, right? We're gonna make a final decision tonight
For the leaching field approach, we would.
with that, but not the betterment stuff, right?
We don't have to,
Right.
no.
But we can put it on the table. right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And as far as a number that we're looking at to cover this year, right now, the town has agreed to take 1/3 of that cost for FY 26. And then the other 2/3 is what you're looking at making up for a difference
Correct,
by the users on the system
correct.
based on ERUs.
Yep.
That's the high level. And we,
So it's basically, we're basically going to have an ERU fee on the bill.
more than
Like
likely,
an infrastructure fee, a leaching field fee.
Right.
Infrastructure fee, I feel is more,
Well, it's gonna be, because
Global.
we're basing it on units each property has,
yes.
it's gonna be different on everybody's bill.
there'll be a bunch of different categories.
Right.
There'll be many people just as one EIU, so that'll all.
1,
group
2, 3, 4, 5.
Right,
Or you could do 1, 2, and then you could do multiple units after that, just by that its own category. Although the way they're gonna have to do it though, in the systems, they're gonna have, like, if you have a 6-bedroom or 6,
yeah,
units,
if we take that approach, there'll
Yeah.
probably be like 28 different
okay.
codes. For 1, for 2, for 15, for 22.
Yeah, because there are some, block buildings that
Right.
have,
I mean,
well,
even
the
the
mall.
mall,
that'll
the
be
apartments.
stones.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the question is, any new users who come into this starting tonight will be assessed also, right? With this formula.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's it. Tonight, it's to nail down a formula. That way, will be the approach going forward. The number itself may vary, and the expectation is the number would go down as EIUs increase. But it's coming up with a formula.
And or we find additional revenue appropriately from betterments that we can adjust, pay it off and just delay it or not delay it, pay it this year, next year. We don't have to we can come back to it because it's now built in as 20 years, right?
Correct.
So we can either pay the whole thing off if we get the money and we get back whole like we're trying to do, or it'd be year to year, but it's our decision.
Correct.
But it's not gonna get any worse. It's gonna be better.
As more users come on,
Right.
you'll be sharing costs with more people.
Sure.
so,
Right.
Which I've
Which
got
works.
ones and twosies that are interested.
Yeah, they're
That's
gonna
good.
start everywhere you go. I'm gonna get a hat, open for business.
I got a follow-up from the 200 Main Street.
Yeah.
I emailed her back some plans of what's at 198. So if you recall,
Going
Yeah.
up the sidewalk kind of thing, yeah.
yeah, the manhole at the end is right in front of 198, and number 200 system failed and they want to tie in. So
Perfect.
we just kind of exchanged email addresses and gave us some site plans for 198 and Houghton Street. So that should be coming,
Good,
hopefully.
good. And that's it. It's like when you're fundraising, whether it's $1 or $10, it all adds up.
Just the
And then
opening up
two
of
in
the-
Country Club Way
Yeah, that
recently. So
just opening up, what people gotta realize is that as long as there's a moratorium or a sense that you can't do anything, no one's gonna do anything. But as soon as you say, hey, we just spent all this money, we're open for business for the last 6 months now, pretty much. Come on.
Yeah.
You'll come out of woodwork. It's like you said, it's happening just by word of mouth.
And it's good that, these are existing things that we're hearing about too, so.
Right, they're already tied under water.
and something we'll look at going forward too is trying to get an idea of when there was a sewer moratorium and no one could tie in. Some people put in septic systems 10+ years ago. And now those people, if they know there's actually sewage they can tie into, I think,
Those should
Even
have all expired by now.
Yeah,
but I think off of like Evergreen just behind, is it Kent's, that automotive place?
yeah,
Is it Grady and someone
Yeah.
else
They're hooked
back
up.
there?
they're
Are
hooked
they?
up, yeah.
Okay,
They actually have they bought an extra EIU,
okay.
so they should be good.
That
That,
brings back a whole bunch of memories. What a fight we had with that. I wanna get into it.
Yeah,
That-
going up into the country club, just as you head up on the right-hand side, all those, I don't know if you call them condos or townhouses that are all stretched on the
The
right-hand
forty
side.
B ones on the right,
When you're coming up to,
Yeah.
the country club
Yeah.
in front of you, everything on that right
Yeah.
side, I think those are all on septic.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
some of them are starting to go now, so
Okay.
that's something, in the future we'll have to start to look
we
at.
can send out letters to them and.
yeah, well,
You know,
just over the next month or two, get it to public relations and stuff.
Yeah.
Start getting the word out. 'Cause even some of the builders in Country Club Way weren't aware that the sewer moratorium was lifted. They hadn't built it in there for 10 years.
yeah,
Now they're all of a sudden trying to open up these lots that were empty
Okay.
for so long. And they're thinking, oh, we put in a sewer, septic system last time, so that's, I imagine, what we're gonna do, so.
I actually sent a plan to a consultant I deal with, as I want to be involved with it, but someone on Page Ave looking for a new house connection. They didn't do it. It was one lot before, so there was one connection. Now he wants to. He has two lots, gonna tear a house down and put two, so he needs another connection. But there's, the water issue is still out there.
One other side note, unless there's something else, something that keeps coming up in our department head meetings is that white Escape that we tried to put to auction.
Mhm.
It went out twice for auction and no one bid on it. And I've been asked to see if the commission is okay donating that to the fire department so they can use it for training.
As soon as you said, I said, bang it up and use it for the prom night, you know,
Oh, yeah.
don't end up this way.
It just goes to show how much you exhaust the
Oh,
vehicle,
bad.
that nobody will even buy it for junk. I don't have a problem with that, but can we put it on the next agenda just so we can take a formal vote?
On the same, I just got this afternoon for you to review. This is a summary of the memo that CDM has put together, which states that there's, as you remember, I talked about the wells at the mall have much more capacity.
Yes,
This is going to document that reality,
okay,
and there's, I get copies for you all. So this is the flavor of the memo that's coming out for your, this is
okay,
and that'll be going, I'll be going to have a meeting with Kristen Berger and the new chairman, Bob Owens, as we discussed a couple weeks ago, technical meeting and see if this doesn't, move
give them
things.
some more information, okay. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn our regular meeting, and then we'll reopen under the public hearing.
So moved.
Second,
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so 6:25.